At that point, he realizes, I've made a very grave mistake. Now, anyone here has ever made a mistake? Better raise your hand if you're making a mistake. So, what is it? This is one of the defects of the living entity, the conditioned living entity, is that they're prone to
making
mistakes. And again, I'm sure everyone was saying very nicely yesterday that if Lord Brahma can make a mistake, then what is the chance that we're going to make mistakes? Right? If the supreme engineer of the entire universe with 4 heads can make a mistake, what to speak of us? How many people here are very easy, ready, willing, and open, that if you realize you've made a mistake, immediately you're happy to just go and say, oh, you know, I made a mistake. How many people here are really in that mood, genuinely in that mood? It's like, how many people here love it when someone points out that you made a mistake? How many people here like to fight it out to the end? just maybe there's some chance I didn't make a mistake and this person is wrong and I'm right. How many people like that one? We're more in that mood. Right? How many people have ever been tempted? I'm sure no one has done it, but how many people have ever been tempted when it's realized that they made a mistake, that they might want to tell a little white lie? I'm sure you didn't. But how many people thought, what if I twist or contort the truth? Just a little bit, so that I'm not wrong. So that I'm actually right. Just a little bit. I mean, they won't know, will they? Right? I can change it just subtly. But or we do change it subtly, sometimes by saying, well, I know I said that, but what I meant was... Anyone's ever done that one? Right? You know what you meant. But when you see the effect that it has, you decide, maybe I didn't really mean it like that, and this is actually what I meant. And you try to convince them. And you see on the other side, they're like, not having any of it, right? You didn't mean it like that. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Right? And it becomes a tug of war about who's going to be right. It's so powerful, right? Being right.
It's painful.
So Lord Brahma has entered into this kind of a potential situation, right? Of course, when Lord Indra became bewildered and the Govardhan Leela, then he actually went a little bit further. You know, first he was like, destroy, Vrindavan. He sent the Shamataka cloud, and then when the cloud wasn't having any effect, he himself personally went and he was trying to destroy. Krishna was lifting go. He was intent to prove, actually, I'm the king. I'm the Yagya Tapasyam. Yeah, I'm the Bhaktaram Yagya Tapasyam. All the yagyas should be for me, for my pleasure. He wanted to prove this. And he also found himself in the same situation as Lord Brahma finds himself later. So it's quite intriguing, because you can imagine if you put yourself in this situation, you're like, actually, you are you're the CEO of the entire universe. You're the person who's orchestrated the entire universe. You put it into motion, and that's a pretty powerful and important position, right? The demigods come to you when there's difficulty, they want to know, and you're able to give answers. You're in a very important position. And now you've tried to make an example of someone so that they understand who you are and recognize your position. And basically, you've now realized you've made a very serious mistake. So Lord Brahma, he can choose, he has so many options that he can choose, ways that he can respond and react to the situation. But what does he do? He goes before Krishna, and this picture here is very nice. So wonderful. Prabhupada was such a genius, So amazing. Understand that pictures are worth 1,000 words. One picture can speak so much. And, making sure that in all his books there's beautiful pictures, engaging people who have the propensity for, drawing, for art, painting. painting like this. Why? So that people, how many people here when they first saw the books, they couldn't really get to the writing, but the pictures were cool. Man, that's really good, those pictures. Right? So, Prabhupada's such a genius, so amazing. So what does Lord Brahma do? He goes. Now imagine Lord Brahma, I was trying to figure out how old he is at this point, because you could actually calculate somewhat how old. He's probably not quite middle-aged. But let's just say, at least from the picture, it looks like he might be, bodily comparison, maybe around 40, 45. He's a senior man. He's an older gentleman. And generally, older gentleman deserves respect. I mean, right, you should respect your elders. This is a common saying. But here you've got a 6-year-old boy. Right? 6-year-old kid. Little 6-year-old boy. He's a little boy. He's a little boy, for God's sake. He's a 6-year-old boy. He's a cowherd boy. He's not even a prince, He's just like a cowherd boy. A little flute, playing in the forest with the cows. He's a little boy, And I'm a 45-year-old man. With 4 heads, of course. And big crowns on each one of them. Dressed very majestically. And Lord Brahma, at this point, realizes, I've made a very serious mistake. And this little boy is actually my boss. This little boy is actually the source of all the intelligence and knowledge that I have. How could I have become so bewildered? And then what does he do? He places all 4 of his majestic heads on the ground in front of Krishna's lotus feet. A 6-year-old boy. Can you imagine how humiliating this must be for someone who's proud? But do you think that Lord Brahma felt humiliation?
No.
In one sense, maybe something was there quickly, but actually he felt complete repentance. He felt ashamed that actually I've done this. How could I have made such a silly mistake? And then he begins to offer these amazing prayers. Now, this is like such a wonderful example for us because Krishna is bringing pleasure. Now, this doesn't sound like a very pleasureful experience, does it? Krishna has just tortured this poor guy, right? Just humiliated him in front of everybody. The creator of the entire universe, Krishna is bringing him pleasure by humiliating him? This sounds sadistic. Right? But Krishna is bringing the highest pleasure. How? Because the highest pleasure comes when we surrender to Him. When we accept the absolute truth, which is that I'm simply a menial servant. No matter how big a post I got, no matter how many heads I've got, I'm simply das anu das anu das. And when we accept Krishna, then immediately that idea of humiliation, because pride begins to melt away from the heart, and we actually begin to realize my true position. And the only thing that can come from that connection with Krishna in our true position is Ananda, His happiness. We become blissful. It's just the natural, reaction to one who surrenders to Krishna. Immediately, Krishna reciprocates and gives us the highest pleasure. So, Lord Brahma, he had many choices, many opportunities to say or do many different things. But the way that he responded was actually exemplary. Because we all make mistakes. Even Lord Brahma makes mistakes. Every endeavor is covered by some fault. Right? So, Lord Brahma is setting an actually a very good example for all of us. And we should all take that on board, that, okay, Lord Brahma can make mistakes. I can also make a mistake. What is the proper way to act if I've made some mistake? To simply get down on my knees and say, I'm sorry, beg forgiveness, and pray that whoever or however you've made this mistake, that somehow or other they forgive you, that you're forgiven. Does this make sense? It's not easy, though. There's a statement Prabhupada makes in the Krishna book, I'm not sure which pastime. It may even be in this pastime. I can't remember. But Prabhupada says that he gives the definition by which we can determine someone's greatness. Anyone knows that definition, or how he says we can measure a person's greatness? He says a man's greatness can be ascertained by?
Tolerance, to tolerate difficult situations.
That's right. His ability to tolerate provoking circumstances. This is how one's greatness can be determined. The ability to tolerate provoking circumstances. Anyone here is getting provoked by the material energy? What are you guys asleep or something? Oh, we transcended the modes of material nature?